Hi friends! So I overspent by over like $500, but I also hit a new net worth milestone. So let's jump into the budget. Hi friends, I am Sarah, also known as Budget Girl here on the internet, and I'm here today with my budget report and net worth update. I've actually been doing this on the internet for over 7 years, and while my income today is in the 8,000s, I started off doing it with $1,400 a month and $33,000 worth of student loan debt. So if you're in a different part of your money journey than I am right now, feel free to go back and look at some of those older videos, or just take inspiration from this and know that budgeting and actually making a plan for your money can help you improve your life. I'll have a playlist of all of my old budgeting reports down below. And if you're interested in this specific budget that I'm going to show in this video, or my net worth tracker, which I'll show in just a little bit, you can get them on my Etsy shop. They're both under $10. They are entirely customizable. There are no frozen cells, and you can use these for the rest of your life if you want. I've been using these for 7 years and they rock. I made them, so I'm a little biased, but a lot of other people like them too. And before we get into it, I am on a journey to try to hit 100,000 subscribers this year. If you like talking about money, building wealth, and learning from other people, then join the party. It's free and it's fun here, and we encourage each other. Let's jump into all the money that I made and spent in July of 2020. So first off, I made $3,178.40 from my day job at Texas A&M. This is after tax and retirement contributions and stuff like that. And then I also made $3,323.24 with my personal business, Budget Girl. Now, some people have noticed lately that I generally end up making a little bit more from Budget Girl than my day job. But remember, this is pre-tax for Budget Girl and post-tax for Texas A&M. So I haven't, this $3,223, I haven't paid people yet, I haven't had any business expenses, and I haven't paid taxes off of it yet. So often, even when I have higher numbers for the month, by the end of it, my take home from my business is a lot smaller than my day job pay. I also really enjoy my day job, and I have no intention of leaving it anytime soon. So the bennies are great. Really great. I have free healthcare, y'all. Free. It's a dream in America. Okay, also Jacob paid me $692.97 for his half of rent, electricity, lawn, etc. And then my duplex, BG Properties, brought in $1,250. So that's my renter. She paid her rent. Yay. Also, my notes for this month say that I had $786.05 deducted for my semi-annual car insurance. So down here, I have car insurance that goes to $95 or $96.05. That goes automatically to a sinking fund every month. And then when it comes time to pay, it actually went up a little bit, and so I need to check on that and then adjust for next month because it's about $100 over what I expected it to be. So my total income for the month was $8,444.61. I have been trying to hit a $10,000 income each month just so that I can hit $100,000 for the year, but this is still absolutely wonderful and something I could have never dreamed back when I started my channel. So I had a little bit higher giving this month, and my mortgage was the same, $1,600. So if you actually add together the $1,250 that my renter pays and the $500 that Jacob pays, I make $150 a month off of my house after the mortgage, but we will get down to further expenses on that later. My phone costs $49.85 every month. I spent over on gas a little bit, so we've just been traveling a little bit more, so I spent $51 over on gas. I spent $181.16 on electricity. That is split with Jacob, that's the full amount. And then I way overspent on the next several categories. It was just kind of a busy month, and I need to just remember that summers always go a little higher, and I need to tighten the belt a little bit in August. So I spent $456.56 on groceries and household this month. I did purchase some stuff for kind of like back to school. For me, I work here all the time, but I got a new lunchbox and some new like lunch storage containers, some other stuff like that. Oh, I also got some like nice snacks at Home Goods, so some biscotti for my coffee and some other nicer stuff like that. And we also made a couple of meals for some people that are kind of hurting right now in our lives, so bought the additional groceries to do that and bring them some meals and hopefully provide them some comfort. I also spent over by $41 in my personal budget, and that just is anything that I need or want during the month that isn't grocery or restaurant. So I got some prizes for my interns at work. I kind of have a little, I'll show you. So one of those little jugs back there is full of like little cute markers and eraser, those fun stuff that you see at like the Target dollar spot. And I got a bunch of little stuff like that and some little games and some little gift cards as prizes for my interns who have been working very hard this summer. So I did that just out of pocket. I got a pan, that was more intern prizes, some plants, got some plants this month, and got some new towels and cactus, plants, and something else that I'll talk about later. So I was over by 41 bucks, not that mad at it. Here's where we go. I was over by $135 in restaurant. I actually recently did a mid-year financial reset seminar event with the financial diet. It was so much fun. So many of you guys got to come. And if you're joining me now watching this video because you saw me at the TFD, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm so glad you're here. I've been talking about how I've been going over in restaurant consistently, and I just don't even know if that's gonna need to either be adjusted up. For instance, I budget 150 bucks a month for restaurant, and I spent almost 300. So I spent almost double. Maybe this just needs to go up in the future. We've been eating out more. It's probably not the healthiest thing, but life happens sometimes. So that is something I'm considering, especially when you see a pattern. You may just have to change your budget instead of your spending. Sometimes it's not so realistic to actually change your spending. In this case, it probably is, but something to think about if you're struggling with one category. Next, I also overspent on clothing, but I did sell some stuff off of Mercari to offset it, so I did actually spend even more than that. I'm also gonna quiet down on that now because I think I got the stuff that I need kind of for back to school. And then finally, I pay for a couple of subscriptions, Hulu and Disney and Kindle Unlimited, and then I had $210 in miscellaneous spending, which was almost entirely physical therapy, which I've been going to for my back. I've been going once a week. There's a $30 copay. I also had a back to school checkup that my insurance requires, and that ended up costing 210 bucks. So, and then I didn't spend anything on travel this month. And so my total non-saving or investment expenses were $3,247. Next, I spent $600 total saving for my future real estate property and also putting $100 to just like my non-emergency fund in case anything comes up. And then I spent $700 on investments, one for my Roth IRA and one for other. So my total expenses budgeted were $45.47. My total I spent was $56.46. So I was over by $670, which is a lot. $56.46 obviously is more than my day job income, which means that this month I have to dip into my budget girl income. So let's go ahead and go down and see how much I made versus how much I spent for that. All right, so on YouTube, I made $18.54, which is wonderful. Thank you so much. That's a very high month for me. I also made $48 off of my Amazon store. You can check that out in the description box below. And I made $76.62 off of my website ads, which is budgetgirl.com. I would highly appreciate it if you went over there. There are a lot of cool articles and free stuff. For instance, if you go to budgetgirl.com/free, there's just an entire page full of completely free stuff like budgets and printables and spreadsheets and all sorts of stuff. It's great. It's just for you. It's free. On Etsy, I made $215.63 and then $228.24. And then I made $900 off of a sponsored video. So it wasn't a huge month for Budget Girl, but that's very decent. I'm very grateful. And then here are my expenses. So I save $500 a month for quarterly estimated taxes, and that automatically comes out just for making money on the internet and not having to pay taxes ahead of time. Next up, I had internet, a couple of subscriptions, and a couple of people who helped me with things like my video editor, my newsletter person, and then subscriptions for website caching like DigitalOcean and Cloudflare, which keep my website up and running when you guys go visit it. So my total income for Budget Girl was $33.23, and my total expenses were $1,112. So my take home from Budget Girl was $22.11.16. Which isn't bad. Next, Budget Girl properties. So I did have a few expenses above the mortgage this month. I had to go to Home Depot and get some supplies for both the house continuing to try to flood and some other stuff. I did have a couple of above the mortgage expenses for the duplex this month. I had to purchase some flood supplies, including like a flood quick barrier, because my house keeps trying to flood. I'm working on that, and I will have a video for you with it soon. I want it to be a completed, hopefully successful story first. I've mentioned it a few times on Instagram, so if you want to go over there and check. But I spent around $100 on supplies, mostly for that. And then I also spent $65 on some cute Texas-themed secondhand supplies for my future Airbnb. No, I don't own it yet. Yes, I'm still hoarding for it. You can check out my video on all the things that I've bought for my future Airbnb that I don't own yet. I'll have that video down below. Some of you might think it's crazy. I just think I'm being prepared. And then I also bought a couple of things, including some concrete and concrete mold for my microscopic pot making business, which I have mentioned in a previous video. I do actually have a commission for 10 pots. So I had to buy a specific mold for the size that they needed and some dye and concrete, and that cost about $80, which is not that much less than what I'm being paid for, but I'll have materials left over. It's a thing. I'll get back to that eventually when I'm more resolved on it. So my total income, $8,444, minus my main expenses, $56.46, minus Budget Girl expenses, $11.12, minus plus my property. I have in here income minus expenses, so my rent was still, what I made was still more than what I spent for the property, a whole $26 this month. But hey, I've got somebody paying my mortgage for me, which is incredible. And then minus my short-term rental and other expenses equals $1,631.01 left, which all went to my property, my next property fund. Overall, not a bad month. Let's jump over to my net worth tracker, and you can see how the month impacted my overall financial health. If you're not tracking your net worth every month, I highly suggest that you do so. It's incredibly inspirational. It helps you get a little bit more of a bird's eye view on your financial situation than just thinking about your wins and fails for an individual month. So here are, and once again, you can get this budget at my Etsy shop, which I'll have linked below. So I've got $4,500 in my personal checking account, about $5,000 in my duplex checking account. I do keep those separate, so about $10,000 in cash checking. And then I have 3 savings accounts. One is my personal emergency fund. One is my house emergency fund. Both are at about $10,000. I did have $13,000 in the house emergency fund last month. I actually just moved $3,000 of that to the checking. So as you can see, that's a few grand up because I have an expense coming up that I'll talk to you about next month. And then a short-term savings, which is my non-emergency savings fund. And that's $2,000 in that, meaning I have $22,779 in cash. Next, my savings account, which are also technically cash, I have $24,162 in my new home savings account. This will be used eventually to purchase another property, ideally an income generating property, and another stream of income and wealth building. And $25,000 is close to $25,000 is very exciting for me. I also zeroed out my car insurance fund just because I just had to pay it. And then I have $557 in my YouTube savings. I also had to pay that last month. That comes out to a total of $58,012 in cash and savings, most of that being the real estate savings. Next up, let's look at my retirement. I have $15,000, yay, that hit a new marker, in my Texas A&M Teachers Retirement System retirement, $10,000 in an IRA, $2,000 in an old Roth IRA that I converted, and then $15,000 in my Vanguard Roth IRA, which I contribute to every month. $43,024 in retirement savings, which we'd all like that to be more, but considering I was only net worth positive a couple of years ago, that's pretty awesome to me. And then I also have some other investments, just a little under $2,500 or so, $2,600 in personal investments at M1 Finance and Robinhood and Acorns, making $45,000 in total investments. These are just brokerage accounts. So My total liquid assets, so cash, retirement, savings, and investments, $103,728, which is exciting. All right, so my assets currently are just my house and my car. I do have some others, but I don't really count them. Count anything you want as an asset if you got like a diamond ring or something, but I'm just focusing on the high end. So $240,000 is about what my duplex is worth, or at least that's what it was last appraised for, and my car's worth about $6,000, making my total assets $349,728. God, that's a lot. But let's go on and go into the debts because that'll bring me right back down to earth. I owe $224,000, $224,217 on my mortgage, which is not paid by me every month. So every single month when it goes down, that's just icing on the cake, baby. And brings my total net worth, which is your assets minus your debts, to $125,510, which is a new milestone, 125. At the beginning of the year, I was at 95. So it just up and up and up. The investments really do wiggle. Like they just keep climbing. It's the key, not having to pay high interest debt, being able to earn interest on your money and, grow through investments. It's actually not that hard, but it's hard to get there. And I totally understand that. 125,510, I am up 30 grand for the year, and I'm up 3,000 for the month. So, yeah, pretty good month for me. I would love to know how you guys' July did. I was actually, it's really fun to come and see my net worth still rise even when I feel like I had a bad month because I overspent in several categories in my budget. I'm not going to take that as giving myself permission to overspend in categories, but it helps me not feel so guilty when I used to just track my budget. I just look at my failures, and now I see a better bird's eye view of my finances, and they're still growing and I'm still getting closer to my goals. So 125, new net worth. All right, tell me how your July went below, and if you made it this far, congrats, you get a cookie. I don't know where you're gonna get the cookie from, but I think you deserve one. Please tell me what you're excited for in August, or just tell me how your money's going. I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you then.